I'm approaching ED from both pathways. Is there a third pathway? This is a great question. And when you're talking about the different pathways, we got to think about nerve function. We got to think about blood flow. We got to think about our hormones. We got to think about what's happening in relationship wise. Because I always say one of my first questions to guys is, okay, you're having trouble with your erection. Is it with every partner that you have? Is it with yourself when you're just looking at porn? Is it just with one specific partner? Because all of that helps give us intel as to whether or not there's a particular issue with sex with a particular person, whether it's a relationship issue. So that's a big part of it too. But honestly, getting to the bottom of what caused your erectile function in the first place. So you're talking about two pathways, but we also have to think about the prostate. How's your prostate size doing? Even if your prostate is mildly enlarged and it happens to be enlarged in the wrong spaces, that can be causing issues with erectile function. So we got blood flow, we got nerve flow, nerve function, we've got psychological stuff that's going on. You want to look at your medications. Could your medications be interfering with it? Are you taking allergy medicine? If you take allergy medicine, then 100% that could be interfering with it. Blood pressure medicine can be interfering with it, the beta blockers, calcium channel blockers. If you have the option when it comes to blood pressure medicine, ACE inhibitors have the least effect on your erections. Medication for depression can interfere with it. So what's going on in terms of your medications too? And then I want you to also look at your diet. Are you off of processed food? Are you eating kind of a natural based diet? Are you eating from the earth as much as possible? When I say from the earth, are you eating basically, meat and veggies as much as you possibly can, some grains here and there? And then, of course, honestly, I always look at gut function too. How is gut function? Are you constipated a lot? That can actually cause an issue too, because remember, when I show you how close the rectum is to everything, the rectum sits right behind your prostate, right? And the rectum sits right behind your prostate that sits at the base of your erection. So if you're staying constipated and there's a ball of boo-boo sitting behind there, well, that can interfere with things too. So making sure that your bowels are moving regularly, making sure that sometimes it's even putting a probiotic on board to make sure that the bacteria are functioning in the right way. And then, of course, there's making sure that your body is not malnourished. I find my biggest malnourished patients are the ones who are strictly vegan or strictly meat, strictly keto with the meat and strictly vegan with all types of vegetables and soy products and all of that. I like for people to meet somewhere in the middle. I feel as though keto is very helpful to get you to a point, and then you want to integrate some form of intermittent fasting or fasting with the concepts of keto still involved, but not being so hardcore keto, because honestly, green leafy vegetables, that's our main source of nitrates. And remember, we need the nitrates to make the nitric oxide, to make the blood vessels dilate all through the body, your kidneys, your erections, your heart, your blood pressure, everything. So focusing on how can you make more nitric oxide in your body has got to be at the top of mind when you're focusing on ED. So I hope that helps your question, VK Banks, is really focusing on all of those things and making sure that they're all tweaked, and the rest will follow. And then, of course, you can do things like pumping. My favorite is the Vaxaid because it uses water. So whenever you go into rehab, if you've ever had the unfortunate incident to have to go through rehab or physical therapy, one of the things that they use is heat, right? You notice they put these hot, moist towels on before they start doing things. Massages, they put heat, maybe hot stones before they start massaging. So part of the process of pumping, for guys who don't have a hydro pump and aren't using warm water, you want to just take a nice warm towel and put it on the tissue, because now what we're about to do with pumping is stretching, right? So we're stretching the tissue. So if we make it warm and pliable meaning stretchier, then, we have an added therapeutic benefit, right? So VK Banks, he's doing beetroot, which is helping the the pathway, the oral pathway of nitrates, and he's doing L-citrulline. Now, L-citrulline needs to be with L-arginine, so that's one thing that you want to do. VK is look for a supplement or even just combine L-citrulline and L-arginine together, and do the beetroot. So now you are boosting your nitric oxide in two different ways. But what you also have to keep in mind, and this goes back to our conversation about mouthwash, is that you have to have the right bacteria in your mouth in order for that beetroot to be activated. And once it hits your stomach or your gut, you need to have an acidic environment. So making sure that you're not on like Prilosec or Zantac or anything like that for reflux, because that will block the acid, that will block the nitrates from being activated to a form that can actually be ingested. So so if you have ED and you've had ED for a while, you can't just supplement nitric oxide. You have to repair the tissue. You have to get in there and realize that over time, your erections are supposed to be getting stiff at night, 4 and 5 times a night. And when that starts to fall off, the erections just start to get weak. It's just like anything else. If we do 100 push-ups every day, and we've been doing them for 5 years, we're swole. And then if you stop doing those push-ups, well, everything starts to shrink back up. Well, it's the same. Once those nocturnal erections stop happening as much, then it means that your erections aren't getting as much exercise. They aren't getting as much blood flow. So now what happens when you don't get blood flow? I want you to think about a sponge, right? So if you take a natural sponge and you douse it in water, it's so soft and it's so pliable. And you take that same sponge, you haven't used it for 2 weeks. You go back to that sponge, what is it doing? It's kind of crumbling, it's stiff, it's hard. That is the perfect example of what happens when your erections, the erectile tissue does not get bathed in blood flow regularly. That's the perfect example. So now what do we have to do for the sponge that has turned all, like crispy? Now we need to wet it again to kind of rejuvenate it. So what you're actually doing when you're taking and rejuvenating the tissue, whether you're doing a pump plus a shock wave, maybe you've decided to get P shots, what have you, you have to work on the tissue. You can't just work on the nitric oxide production because it'll just give you minimal results. If you want full stream results, you've got to work on the tissue. Okay, so VK, if you're suffering from ED and you're really having an issue with it, get a pump. It doesn't have to be the Vaxaid. The link to the Vaxaid is below. Anything I talk about here that there's something called affiliate programs that if I talk about it and you decide to get it, use my links because I get a small commission that helps kind of keep the channel going. So VK, you want to consider pumping and you want to consider even shockwave. There's a difference between shockwave at home and shockwave at the doctor's clinic. If you have mild to moderate ED, or just want to enhance things, doing it at home is just fine. But if you have moderate to severe ED, you want to combine shockwave with a professional. You don't want to do it at home because your at-home device isn't going to be as strong as our in-clinic device.